Deep in the picturesque landscape of East Anglia lies one of the longest standard gauge heritage lines in the United Kingdom, the Mid Norfolk Railway. Spanning a preserved total of 17.5 miles of trackbed, this historic line serves as a living museum, connecting communities and preserving the golden era of British rail travel. The story of this route began in the mid-19th century. Formed in 1845, the original Norfolk Railway Company laid down tracks to link the bustling market towns of Wymondham and Dereham, officially opening the line to freight in December 1846 and passenger services in February of 1847. In 1857, the line extension to the port town of Wells next to sea was completed. Part of that route is now used by the Wells to Walsingham Light Railway. It was the beginning of the Great Eastern Railway network that would eventually span thousands of miles of track across the east of England. It would thrive for over a century until eventually the post-war rise of motor vehicles took its toll. It was marked as uneconomic for passenger retention in the Beeching Report of 1963, officially titled The Reshaping of British Railways. It would be dubbed the Beeching Axe. Unsurprising when the report recommended closing 5,000 miles of track, around 30% of the country's network, 2,363 or 55% of the stations, and would result in tens of thousands of railway workers being made redundant. Rural areas like Norfolk would be isolated and typically the hardest hit by the closures. Regular passenger services north of Dereham were withdrawn in 1964, and the remaining passenger services between Dereham and Wymondham fell victim to another wave of the British rail closures in 1969. Freight traffic precariously lingered on until 1989, when it too was deemed unviable and abandoned. Fortunately, the story didn't end there. In 1995, the Mid Norfolk Railway Preservation Trust was formed. Originally based out of Yaxham Station, it purchased the 11-mile Wymondham to Dereham section in April of 1998, and by June of the same year, it was passed for use by freight trains. Through the tireless work of dedicated volunteers, the line was meticulously restored, bringing passenger trains back to life in the heart of Norfolk. The Trust's long-term goal is to restore the line as far north as County School Station. Although currently isolated due to a gap in the tracks, it is a beautifully preserved gem featuring an award-winning passenger station layout, a traditional tea room, and a small museum. Around 6 miles south of County School Station, serving as the new headquarters of the Mid Norfolk Railway Preservation Trust, is Dereham Station. Dereham is a fully operational, authentic period station complete with extensive maintenance yards where the M&R's fleet of diesel and steam locomotives are maintained. Originally opened in 1847, Dereham grew into a massive industrial hub. At its height, the station footprint was expansive, boasting 4 independent signal boxes, a ticket office, 3 large goods sheds, cattle and coal yards, and extensive industrial sidings built specifically to service the town's thriving maltings trade and the famous Hobbies engineering works. Travelling south into the running section of the line, we reach Yaxham Station. This picturesque location holds a monumental place in the railway's timeline, as the modern Mid Norfolk Railway Preservation Trust originally began its restoration operations from a base right here at Yaxham. The station is privately owned, but operates in complete harmony with the Trust's timetables. It retains its magnificent, unaltered Victorian layout, including the original signal box and its distinctive up-platform buildings. Positioned exactly at the halfway point between Dereham and Wymondham Abbey sits Thuxton Station. Set in a peaceful rural village surrounded by scenic Norfolk countryside, Thuxton is a critical piece of the railway's infrastructure. The Trust has comprehensively rebuilt this site into a fully functioning passing location. It features an active, modernised passing loop and an operating signal box, allowing 2 trains to safely cross paths on an otherwise single-track main line. Continuing south, the train passes the historic site of Hardingham Station. This location is a masterclass in private railway preservation. The beautifully maintained buildings and platforms were meticulously restored by private owners. Interestingly, Hardingham and Dereham were identical when the line was opened, with the latter having grown to meet the town's higher demand. The final intermediate stop before the southern terminus is Kimberley Park Station, characterised by its narrow platforms, small gated entrance, and a quiet woodland setting. This rural halt serves as a charming countryside stop. Our tour concludes at the southern limit of the active running line, Wymondham Abbey Station. Opened by the Trust in 1999 to establish a permanent connection with the historic market town of Wymondham, the station features a unique, custom-built single-platform design, located just a short scenic walkway from the twin towers of the historic Wymondham Abbey and the local nature reserves. This station serves as the primary gateway for tourists boarding the line from the south, linking Heritage Rail directly with East Anglia's deep medieval history. While visiting the railway, I was fortunate enough to get a short tour inside one of the signal boxes on the line. It is in fact a new building, but built in a traditional style with original equipment I was told dated back to around 1940. These mechanical hubs are the true guardians of the track. Inside, rows of heavy mechanical levers are connected to long rods and cables that physically shift the points on the track. The signal box needs to ensure that only one train can occupy a section of single track at any given time. My visit coincided with an intense summer heatwave. Due to the fire risk posed by steam engines, the railway made the responsible decision to ground its steam fleet, such as the British Rail Standard Class 4, that is capable of reaching speeds at around 75 miles an hour. Instead, they handed full operational duties over to their robust vintage diesels. Our journey today brought us to the current southern operational limit of the line, the Wymondham Abbey level crossing. After safely unloading its passengers at the platform, the train must prepare for its return journey northward to Dereham. This requires a classic railway manoeuvre. The wooden gates swing shut across the road, sealing off the level crossing. The locomotive slowly inches forward over the road, entering a dedicated section of track just past the station. At each end of the line, the locomotive detaches the air lines for the vacuum or air brakes and unhooks the heavy iron coupler from the leading carriage. Moving forward onto a section of the track known as a head shunt, the locomotive travels past the physical set of points. The track points are then switched, guiding the locomotive onto a parallel track. This allows it to glide completely past the stationary carriages, a process formerly known as running around the train. Once it reaches the opposite end of the coach formation, the driver carefully eases the loco back onto the train. The guard or shunter recouples the iron links, reconnects the brake lines, and tests the pressure. With the locomotive now safely facing north at the head of the train, the locomotive is ready to make the return journey through the heart of Norfolk. The Mid Norfolk Railway stands as a spectacular testament to industrial preservation, surviving closures, elements, and time itself. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below to share your favourite locomotive on the line. And in the meantime, please watch my video about the Wells Walsingham Light Railway.